What is going on out there, everybody, and how y'all doing? That's right, you've hit us again. This is Expanded Perspectives with me, Cameron Hale, and joining me as always, the peas to my carrots, the salt to my pepper, the Spinderella of the podcast, Mr. Kyle Wilson.
How's it going? What am I supposed to say when you give me an intro like that?
Oh, no. It's the cold medicine, man. I'm all cold medded up.
Oh, man, I've got some in my veins, too. I mean, everybody around me has been getting sick.
Yeah, folks, bear with us. Both of us have got the walking pneumonia since we've been going the last few days, and it's just, man, I don't know if it's from the rain, the cold. I don't know what causes it.
I think what causes it is when the temperature gets warm, then cold, then warm, then cold. It's like your body can't really acclimate to what the heck temperature it's going to be today.
It's whooped my ass. It really is.
I really do think it's the up and down that gets you more than anything.
So there might be some coughs and some stutters down through here. Please bear with us, but we're trying to get through it. Hope everybody had an awesomely safe and happy Halloween out there.
Yeah, man, the birds had an awesome time.
Oh, man. I got yelled at by my daughter. And I got a 13-year-old daughter that went with all of her friends, and they all went out trick-or-treating. And then when she wasn't looking, Daddy snuck upstairs and started getting them little Snickers bars. And
I try to get the kids to get Snickers for me.
Yeah,
and I tell them, I mean, I don't think, they got me a bunch.
Nice, yeah, but
they don't really care for Snickers, which is good for me because they get them for me. They like the like Pixie Sticks.
That's little kids' cocaine.
Smarties. Yeah, you're right.
It's just Coke for little children.
They're like nerds.
Just all that is straight sugar.
Yeah.
Of course, how can I
Fun
judge?
Dip. They love Fun Dip.
Who don't?
It's just like powder and you dip that stick in there. They love that.
Who don't love
that's
Fun
nasty.
Dip? Who don't love Fun Dip? Hey, Philly, we have got a big shout-out list this time. A big one to talk to a lot of people. We got a lot of people that listened that really gave us some good feedback.
Yeah, I saw several new Twitter followers. I saw a couple of emails people have sent us. I saw some new reviews some people have written about us on iTunes. And that's what really helps because, we don't have the money to make a commercial ad or pay for ads on different websites and stuff. So we try to market our show a free way. Well, when you go to iTunes and you go to the store and you click on podcast, the first thing that comes up is what's hot or news and noteworthy. And because of people writing those reviews, it bumped us up towards the top. So now when you click on new and noteworthy, we were like number 5 the other day.
Check us out.
So it's like a commercial for us because, I mean, you could search and search and search, and if you don't know about Expanded Perspectives, you're never going to find it. But anybody who just is looking for a new podcast, boom, they see it right there.
That's
awesome. That's why we really appreciate the reviews.
Yes.
And please, more people get on there and if you can help us out, write a review or just vote on the little stars. We got 5-star, 4-star, whatever.
We got 2 really good ones. Mr. Sean Prather wrote us a good review, and a man named Alan Garrow.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much for both
you guys. Thank you so much. And I think both of them also follow us on Twitter. Keep up, and I've gotten some messages from them. We got an email from a fella named Brian Fram. And Brian, we listened. We appreciate the input. And on this episode, starting today, we'll go with every episode. There will be closing comments afterwards. We've got more than one email, more than one person saying they would like to hear us instead of just end the show at the end of the interview, close it out, that they would like us to come back on and give some closing thoughts and kind of
absolutely.
See everybody
this is a perfect example of a viewer or a listener, telling us some criticism, what they were looking for in the show. And it's funny that when we had literally been talking about that for the last couple of interviews, should we come on after the interview? And when he sent that email in, that confirmed our suspicions. So
done. Yeah. And the reason we never did is because we didn't want to seem like we were somebody offering up our opinions that really didn't have it to base on. We didn't want to be like thinking we were something that we weren't, coming on and wanting to really give a big part of our ideals over the interview we just heard. We wanted everybody to listen to the interview and enjoy that. But everybody's like, we'd like you to come on and like to hear what y'all think. So, we're sorry.
Frankly, I'm surprised that people even want to listen.
Exactly.
So now they're wanting us to come back. But that's fine. So we're going to
do it from now on. So Brian, everyone else, thank you so much for the help and the heads up, and it's going to start happening. So that's all on you, brother. Thank you. We've also got, I got a list over here. Hold on. Let me get it over here. I got all my stuff. I got my water and my cough drops and everything around here. I got the pneumonia. Jesse Lungstrom. Jesse tweeted us, and man, he had a heck of a tweet and really put us up there with hardcore history. And the same thing with, I believe it was, Alan was one of them that that wrote the review put us up there with MU, and guys, we really appreciate that. That's flattery will get you everywhere with this podcast. So thanks. But Jesse actually tweeted about how we helped him get through the second shift when he could listen. He said, "I wish there was more shows." And folks, just so you know, Kyle and I have been discussing that. We've been discussing on either doing more shows or longer shows. So bear with us. Maybe take us a year or so to kind of get where we want to go with it. But we hope to start adding either longer shows or additional shows, things like that throughout the time. Of course, Annie S., she's always helping us out and tweeting us. Patricia Burke, she was tweeting for us.
That's my mother.
Not this one. No.
My mother's maiden name is Burke.
Yeah, but I'm not even sure your mother knows how to even run a smartphone, does she?
No, my mother doesn't even know what a podcast is.
Yeah, she does. She just, oh, that's nice. Michael Simpkins and Miss Jessica from 3amfright.com. Guys, if y'all are into horror movies and anything scary like that, jump on there, 3amfright.com. Check out her little website. I pulled it up right there with the big Happy Halloween on and all that stuff. It's all up there's that top 5 Halloween movie list. She does a bunch of pretty cool stuff on the website, so that's pretty cool. So Jess, thanks for following us. Man, we've got some really cool stories that just popped up I want to talk about.
Oh, you're talking about down in Peru, is it? Or is it Ecuador?
Ecuador.
I saw that.
Folks, check this out right quick. Go to ancient-origins.org. Nope, I lied. I'm a filthy liar with the cold meds. Ancient-origins.net. You can look up the lost city of giants in Ecuador. They found this, I think about a year ago is actually when they found it. And it looked like hills.
Now, I didn't go to the website you were talking about. I was reading it on Above Top Secret.
Oh, is that where you found it on? You can find a bunch. It's on there, too.
Did they say they found some pyramids that were buried underneath?
It looked like the dirt had covered the pyramids. Things were growing on. They just looked like mounds. And I guess it was from maybe some torrential rain, washed some of the dirt off the side. And here are these smooth and cut and dressed blocks of stone. And from the picture, it looks like, I don't know, like a small piece of luggage size stone, maybe, what I'm talking about, like a 18 by 18 squares or so of stone. And you can tell they're all been hand hewn. It's not like they're just stacked. I mean, these things look nice and they're all basically the same size. But the thing that makes it really neat is that there is some sort of vitrified mortar or something in between the blocks.
Can they carbon date that?
Well, it's not so much about. I guess they probably could. I don't know.
Did you read anywhere where it told how old this stuff is? Because I didn't get that. I never saw anything.
Well, here's
that said
the
how
neat
old
thing.
it is.
This is the neat thing. Inca didn't use mortar.
Okay, so it's pre-Inca.
Inca, they cut everything precision. It stacked together. They didn't really use mortar.
What made me find this is it said that there was tools found, and they looked like they were tools that would belong to giants. In other words, they were too big for a human. But I read more through the article, and it never really touched on. I mean, that was like the headline of the story, and then when I got in there, and it grabbed me. But I never really got any detail on the tools.
What I found about it was in their oral history, it talks about these civilizations of giants that lived down there in the Ecuadorian rainforest. And these guys, now what they tell you that they actually found was large stone hammerheads. Whereas if they were to put in a handle, they said it would have to take large men to use them because they claim that, of course, the Inca we know were very small, slight. They weren't giant Icelandic type men. They were smaller native. And it sounds like they kind of used it for a headline grab. It's still fascinating, but maybe it was an ancient paleo sledgehammer. Hell, I don't know. But it doesn't sound like, it's not like they found giant knives, giant spoons, giant forks. They didn't find things like that.
But they have found armor and stuff like that.
They have in North America. Yeah, in North America, we found armor and giant swords, and we found a lot of which we're going to be touching on if we're lucky.
And I love that stuff. Fritz Zimmerman and Jim Vieira, those guys always. What's it? The Daily Giant. I get that on Facebook all the time from Jim.
He has some great articles that all come out of the old papers and old archives of these. So it sounds more like it was a headline grab that they tried to use, and it worked. I'm still mystified with the whole pyramid thing.
I was like, how many did they find? The pyramids.
I didn't really find the number.
I was reading one where it was like 80 foot high and it was like 80
and
foot.
an 80-foot base. Like everything was. Yeah, it's all mathematically even the way it sounds. I mean, you can tell there was some intelligent design into it. It wasn't just stacking rocks.
Right.
I haven't heard that they found anything inside it. I haven't even heard if they've been inside it. So I'm going to have to keep a good eye on this because it really does sound really interesting. Now, you just brought up above top secret. Did you see what the Mars rover found?
No, I did not.
It found a stone hut on Mars. This is on above, yeah. If I could get to it, but yeah, on above top secret right now. They were, and this is just out today that it was taking photographs of the surface
A
of Mars.
structure built on the surface of Mars.
It sure looks like it. Now, before everybody goes woohoo, because I did when I saw it, I freaked. I was like, check it out. You know, I'm going nuts. They've kind of blown up the photo some. You could say one of two things. When the original photographs that it takes, it's in the distance, and it looks like stacked stone. I mean, it looks like a perfectly stacked stone structure. There's nothing in the photo to give it any reference to what size it might be, but it does look like a perfectly stacked stone structure, like a little square box.
So it's a pile of rocks or a big rock that kind of looks like a cottage, and that's what they're calling it. But it's not really a cottage.
Well, they don't know. You know. Well, wait. Let me rephrase that. We don't know. They may have driven it right over there to it and checked it all out.
If it is, you'll never see the pictures of that.
Yeah. I do know when they blew the pictures up, some of it looked more like a very eroded stone, like maybe the wind had blown and kind of you know how that lava rock, it looks real rough and rugged. It looks like maybe it could have possibly been a chunk of that.
Well, you see stones here on Earth. I mean, you'll see like just a rock in the middle of nothing. And you'll be like, man, that is bizarre. How did that huge rock just get here? You know, a glacier or something moved it there or something. It's probably the same thing there.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, I mean, it's really intriguing. It's fun to think about and speculate and go, man, that's badass. Somebody was there.
I bet Richard Hoagland and Mike Barra are probably turning cartwheels right now.
I bet Richard Hoagland is just going, you know, didn't he have a heart attack or something a year or so ago?
Man, I don't know.
I think he did. I mean, I hope he's doing good and all that.
Yeah,
I think he is. But
man, I've read some of his books about the bases on the moon. And
when he saw that stone, he better pop the nitro pill.
And some of that stuff's fascinating.
He better put a nitro pill under his tongue when he saw that, because he probably lost.
I told you.
See, I'm not crazy.
They've been up there. Have you seen the maps he's got of Mars, where it's got like the face? You know, the face
and all
of
the
Mars
lines
and the pyramid, supposedly that's up there, and there's these stone structures.
I get lost in all that. I can't buy into that.
I tried to read them, and you know, if you take this and then you divide this by pi, and then you take that, it's exactly the size of, you know, Khufu's belt size, and then and it happens to be the exact length of the date that his wife was. I mean, it's just, you're like, I don't know, how did you reach that?
The problem is, I'm not smart enough to dispute it.
No, I'm not either.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
So I just go around and pretend that I know. Oh yeah, I know about the bases on the moon. You don't know that?
Oh, I mean, come on. Everybody knows it's got some kind of magical mathematics involved in it. Everybody knows that. I mean, don't be stupid.
That's cool. Speaking of space, who's our guest tonight?
Mr. Aerial Phenomenon himself, Antonio Paris.
Yeah, that guy's pretty cool, huh?
Oh, that guy is awesome. He's extremely scientific about it.
That's my favorite part.
Very intelligent individual, and he's not easily swayed by
he's the complete polar opposite of, what is it, Dr. Stephen Greer, the UFO guy.
Stephen seems to be like, okay, look, I'm not talking bad about Stephen, but he really wants it to happen. He really wants it to be out there. I really want it to be real.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to grasp at straws to make things real.
Doesn't seem scientific the way he approaches stuff, though, where Antonio is the complete opposite. Very scientific.
And he explains very well in this interview what he talks about. So
yeah,
I mean,
if you go to their website, my favorite part is they have this whole section of photos, and they have photos of like almost every UFO that's ever been captured on film. They have pictures of thousands of man-made objects that people commonly mistake for UFOs. And when you start looking at some of these top secret aircraft from different countries, you could almost see like, yeah, you know, if I had been in the right state of mind and I saw that, I might think that's a UFO. I mean, which is always what I think, because I think probably 98% of this stuff is misidentification. I mean, are you on that fence, or do you think this is aliens visiting from another planet, time travelers, interdimensional beings? I mean, you've heard of all the different things. I think that most of it is probably some black project somewhere that's being tested and people are confused. Now, obviously, there's some that, you know, when you talk about a giant black triangle that's the size of 3 football fields, or like the big one that they had in Stephenville, I don't know how you would explain that, because like if you had something that big, where's the hangar that holds that thing? You know what I mean? The subject is fascinating to me.
I want it to be real. I really do. I mean, I want all of it to be real. You know, I want everything that we've discussed, all that to be.
I don't want the aliens to be real, though. They scare the hell out of me. They can come and take you out of your room,
and they're really perfect at it.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, their abduction rate is like 100%.
You know, normal criminals, I could build a safe room or something in the house. I can get some guns and stuff, and I'll be ready to say, nope, alien can come get you anytime he wants
George
to.
St. Pierre, when the alien, when he comes from
That's
me.
right, he's deathly scared of aliens.
George St. Pierre he has an escape plan for when the aliens try to get him. What he doesn't realize is he's going to be just like stunned, like you're just stiff as a board, light as a feather. They're going to get your ass. There's no getting away from it.
No. It's probably worse if you fight.
Yeah, I hope that they do a really good job imprinting memories on me so I don't remember that. Maybe they already did.
Oh, man.
But I want it to be real, but I do. There's, excuse me, folks. There's so much that I don't know. You know, I would love to. I've seen a few funky things in the sky when I've been, you know, way out in the middle whenever we've been skiing or we've been out hunting in New Mexico or in Colorado, and you're way up in the middle of nowhere, and you can really see how clear the sky is without a lot of light pollution.
You sure it wasn't satellites?
Well, no, I'm not. I have no clue. You know,
Because they got that app for you could tell when
Sputnik.
satellites are coming over.
I think it's the name of
there's
that.
a couple of them.
Yeah.
But that's definitely one of them.
But it could have been. But I just know I saw some strange things, and it's the first thing your mind leaps to. The minute you see something moving, you're just like, ha ha.
I think you're kind of pre-programmed from a child just watching science fiction films.
I know I was.
The only thing that I've had that bizarre in having to do with UFOs is one time me and a buddy, we were outside. It was late, like midnight or so. I think we had a beer or two at this point. You know, we had just started. No, this is
Kyle.
This is when we were younger,
Just
and we had just started. No, we had several after.
Oh, okay.
This is when we were just starting to fire up. And we were sitting outside by my parents' pool. This was back when I was like 20.
Okay.
And it was an overcast night, so there was clouds. Okay.
Okay.
No, not a full moon. It was like a new moon, so it was really dark. But you could tell that it's not foggy, but you can tell when there's low clouds because the city, you can see it. So low. We were just sitting out there talking, and then all of a sudden, this bright light moved through the clouds at a pretty good rate. And I wouldn't say it was very high. I mean, it was within the clouds, so you could see like a glow move through the clouds. No sound at all, but a glow move through the clouds. And I immediately looked at him, and he looked at me, and was like, "What the hell was that?"
Then you went inside.
But I don't know what it was. It doesn't mean it was an extraterrestrial because I saw a strange light. But I definitely saw a strange light that I couldn't explain.
I got to ask you something real quick
Sure.
before we get off to this interview.
Yeah.
Folks, if you haven't seen this, go to our website. Go to the new and noteworthy news. Go to expandedperspectives.com and look for the video footage of the Bigfoot in Idaho.
Yeah.
Tim Wells of Relentless Pursuit, bow hunter.
That's what intrigued me the most about it. Is it wasn't just some video posted by Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
This is a guy that has a hunting show. It's on the Outdoor Channel all the time. Go ahead. I mean, he had the encounter.
I want everybody, if you would, go check this video out if you're into crypto. Shoot us an email, shoot us a tweet, get on Facebook, send us a message. Tell us what you think about this. I'm on the fence about it right now because to me it looks okay. The guys, if they're hoaxing it, if they're having fun with everybody, they sell it very well. But they're in a bear hunt in Idaho. They're bow hunting. Just Tim and his cameraman. Tim, they both think that they see a very large bear coming through the woods.
Yeah, it was in Idaho.
Yeah, Tim, the cameraman films it for just a split second.
Yeah, they were filming an elk hunt.
No, a bear hunt. They're hunting black
bear
bear.
hunt?
Yeah.
I thought it was an elk hunt.
They're hunting bear. And that's when they tell him. And Tim grabs the camera from him, tries to film it again. But they both talk about how fast it was, how fast it got away, how big it was.
And this thing's in HD.
Yeah.
I mean, immediately when you watch it, you're going to say, man, that looks like a guy wearing
I may
a
have just
mask.
lied. They may have been an elk hunt now. I can't remember.
I thought they said they were videotaping an elk hunt.
that
I could be
what
wrong.
They were elk hunting too.
But you're going to immediately
But they thought
notice
it was a large black bear.
when I watched it, because it's in 1080 HD. I mean, it looks like a dude wearing a cheap mask.
It does, folks.
But,
When you see it, it's
you know,
a black. It looks like a
man,
black gorilla suit.
How do you really know what the thing's supposed to look like? You know, maybe it does look like a mask. I mean, masks are really good, so.
Did you listen to the interview with Jeff Meldrum on Joe Rogan's podcast?
I did.
Okay. There was a point brought up in there that I really thought when they were arguing over the Patterson-Gimlin film. And Joe doesn't believe it, and Dr. Meldrum believes it. And Joe said, I don't believe it because it looks like a human. It looks like a man in a suit. It walks like a man in a suit. It walks like a man.
Uh-huh.
And Jeff said, well, that's right. He said, that's because it's not the primate that we take it to be. That it's more man-like than primate.
Well, that's the thing. If this is an unknown species,
well, exactly.
how are
You're
you supposed to
right.
be able to judge what it's supposed to
So
look
I
like
don't
when
know.
it
You know,
moves? I mean,
yeah, and that's a perfect argument. I mean, that's really it's one of those things. That's a perfect
it's
argument.
an
to the whole
open-ended
story.
argument.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps.
But this
anybody.
video, folks, y'all need to check this out. It's really kick-ass to see it. And you can, I mean, I'd love to get your feedback because, like I said, if the guys are acting, they're doing a really good job selling it.
Yeah.
a really good job selling.
Yeah, I thought it was really neat. People need to check it out. Like Cam said, it's on our website. If you go to the news and noteworthy news of the week or whatever on there.
It's on the top article. You can scroll down and check it out.
Yeah, anyways, back to our interview, though, tonight. Antonio, didn't he take a team out to Skinwalker Ranch?
Skinwalker Ranch.
I think he talks about that, too. So.
We need to let them hear it.
Yeah,
Let's let them play it before we talk about a whole thing. Let them get in there and listen to it.
All right, guys, let's get into this interview. And you got anything else you want to add, Cam?
No, man, y'all have a good time. And thanks
right.
for bearing along with us, coughing and hacking.
Thank you. This is Expanded Perspectives.
Guys, we have got one great treat for a guest tonight. Joining us is Mr. Antonio Paris. Antonio, how are you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, we are really tickled to have you on, man. We have really enjoyed following everything on your website. I just have to say that the website's amazing. It's great.
Yeah, thanks. Everybody's put a lot of work into it, and it's very simple to use. But I think what I like about my website is it's not really any fancy. You don't see any green little aliens running around on that stuff. I try to make it as professional as possible.
That's I think what I enjoy, that and all the photos that you have on there.
I think we have probably the largest collection of UFO photos on the internet. And what I mean by UFOs, just not your typical UFO, but man-made objects, natural phenomena, hoaxes, whatever. We break it down into those categories so people who want to do research can go onto our website and start looking at those photos.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it the best, is you could see all the man-made things that almost look like UFOs, that I'm sure is misidentification by most.
Oh, yeah, and when you start doing UFO investigations, you quickly realize that a lot of the stuff is just misinterpretations of man-made natural phenomena. On your occasion, you'll get a hoax or something like that. And sometimes you even get the really good elaborate hoaxes. And then 5%, maybe a little more, about 8% are just things that we don't know what they are, or they're photos of that really have no chain of custody. There's a lot of photos on the internet where nobody know where they originated from. So they at this point strictly unidentified.
And that's another thing that I really do appreciate that you've brought to this field is the whole thing of chain of custody. In my job, I deal with chain of custody daily, and to me, that's a big thing when it comes to handling evidence or pretty much of anything of importance. The chain of custody that you can follow.
It is, especially when it comes to alleged physical evidence and things like that. Mm-hmm. So we've gotten those on occasion, and we've learned the hard way that no matter how credible the report is or the witness is, if they got a really sloppy chain of custody, then we you have to take that evidence and discard it, and then all you have is really witness testimony.
Yeah.
How big is your team, Antonio?
It fluctuates. People have real time, real jobs and things like that. Right now we have 15. That's been about the average for the last couple of years. 13 to 15. I am right now at the point that I want to expand it a little more down to the Florida, Georgia area. So I actually just tweeted about a minute ago. If there's anybody down there in Florida that might be interested in joining aerial phenomena, and we have a rate. Out of the 15 people that I have, I won't talk about everything I want, but it's a really good team. We've got people that work for NASA. We have teachers. We've got a couple of retired detectives and state police. And
nice.
things like that. That really, when you sit down and you look at UFOs, everybody can participate in the investigative process and help in some fashion.
That's great. I've been keeping up with a bunch of the stuff that you've been doing because you've been a busy fellow. I've been keeping up with a bunch of it on Twitter, and I noticed
Very busy.
I noticed that you've just returned from Skinwalker Ranch.
Yes, Skinwalker Ranch is a very interesting place. My personal, I guess, interest in Skinwalker was the UFO phenomena. If anybody knows anything about Skinwalker, other known as UFO Hill, there's a lot of activity there other than UFOs. We're talking about the Native American legend of the Skinwalker, which is a witch. We've got paranormal activity, orbs, ice circles, cattle mutilations, your whole box of paranormal. But we went out there strictly for studying the UFO phenomena and maybe kind of looking at the other stuff that's going on there just for, I guess, for a good sideshow. But we were only there for 3 days, and obviously you can't investigate something that's been going on for decades in just 3 days.
Yeah.
So the first trip last week was kind of a recon, scouting the area, testing some of the equipment, getting to know the locals, doing some interviews with both officials and non-officials. And so it can better prepare us for a better, more thorough investigation coming here around probably January with a larger team, and try to get to the bottom of this. There are, just, I guess since the late 70s, just so much reporting on that ranch that you don't know where to start. A good book is the Hunt for the Skinwalker by George Knapp. That's a good book for research purposes. And then you've got various websites out there, and that's how we started our research. And a good kid named Ryan Burns, Hero Paranormal, he runs a Skinwalker Ranch website as well. And we went out there. He was like our local guide, local expert, really smart kid. He's been investigating the UFO phenomena there for about 7 years, I think now. So it was very important that we coordinated our efforts with local experts, and that's one of our main messages. Aerial phenomena this is a community thing. It's not about competing with other organizations. It's about working together as a team and sharing each other's best practices, and that's what we did for Skinwalker. We found a local expert who took us around, helped us with interviews, helped us with the night investigations, and really provided us information that we would have never found, by doing research. And Skinwalker in itself was an interesting place. I think what I got out of the 3 days out of the Skinwalker Ranch is there was a lot of unusual human activity and not necessarily paranormal activity. The ranch itself is supposed to be leased now to a ranch. As you know, NIDS and Bigelow no longer really function there as a scientific exploratory group. But I found it interesting that it's supposed to be a ranch, but it's got militarized security. It's got infrared cameras. It's got motion detectors, 24-hour security. And from the research we've done, the security is by URS, who used to be EG&G, and those are the same guys who do security for Area 51. So that's interesting in itself.
Yeah.
And then when you walk up to the gate, it's just not a gate anymore. It's got so many cameras. It's got military-type barriers, the way that you see that bases used for force protection, the big blockade, the big concrete barriers. So when you look at that from the outside, and I've done force protection inspections for when I was in the military, that tells me that they're trying to protect something in there, or a rancher or somebody just trying to protect their property doesn't go to the full extent of that type of security unless they're either really anal about security or there's something that's going on there that they're trying to prevent. And that's about it. We saw a couple of strange lights, a couple of strange footprints that we got there, but like I said, it's important that we return and continue the investigation.
Well, like what you and I was discussing off air was not a lot of people are aware of that. It's like we said, about 80 miles around there that has all kinds of strange occurrences. That it's not just
and that's one of the
to that
things
range.
that's one of the things that Ryan told us is too many people. It's like Area 51. Too many people are concentrated at the front gate, of Skinwalker, when the entire region, the Ute, Native Americans in that area, and some Navajos a little more down to the south. The whole area is just full of all types of phenomena, including UFOs. And while we were out in Utah, we drove about 3 hours south to Sago Canyon. And you can look it up. Sago Canyon's got these Native American pictographs. And some of these paintings look like they look almost like extraterrestrials. But that's a whole different discussion. But that area all the way to Skinwalker Ranch, it's almost a straight line north to south. And that whole area is what it's called the Path of the Skinwalker. So that whole region,
Wow.
that's 120 miles or something like that. That ridge line is known as the Path of the Skinwalker. So that whole area has a lot of UFO activity, paranormal activity, you name it.
Oh yeah, that's incredible. Do you have any hot spots right now in America where a lot of sightings have been being recorded?
No, and you have to be really careful when people say Texas is a hot spot or California is a hot spot. The data is really skewed and can be misinterpreted really easily. If you go onto any website, and I'll use MUFON or NUFORC, those are good websites for data collection. But some states have more UFO activity than others, but you have to be careful with that data. Texas and California are always ahead every single month on UFO reports, but that's because they're bigger states.
Yeah, I was going to say
The
geographically
populations are
they're larger.
bigger,
Yeah.
larger density areas. So when there's a UFO report, let's say over Texas, there's a good possibility that multiple people can report the same sighting, and all of a sudden it becomes a UFO wave.
Right.
When it really is just the same object that's being reported multiple times. And then if you look at Maryland and DC, where I'm at, there's almost no UFO activity. It's always in the bottom of the list. You get maybe 10 to 20 really good cases a year. And that's because this area really has a highly restricted airspace. Nothing's really flying. So you have to think about this, why, it's not that the aliens don't like Maryland and they like California. It's that it's really, a lot of the stuff that's being seen is man-made objects,
Right.
aircraft, R&D stuff, classified projects, where they'll fly out in those rural areas, Texas, California, Utah, Arizona, and they won't do any R&D stuff up here in restricted airspace.
I think Antonio's just calling us crazy down here.
No, I'm not. There's a lot of there's some good real UFO reports down there. Steven Seville cases are really good.
Have you ever been down here to Texas, Antonio?
Oh yeah, I was stationed down in San Angelo for quite
Okay,
some
well
time.
yeah. Then you know exactly what it's like when you start heading west. There's nothing out there.
It's nothing.
Nothing.
And yeah, when you have bigger, I've been stationed in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, you name it, and
A lot of open space.
But when you're out in those areas, you have a really good field of view, better sky, better vision. So the possibilities are just boundless when you're looking at that night sky.
When you
Here
say-
in Maryland, you can barely see a star.
I think people have a hard time understanding that is when you get out into those open areas because, we all through Texas, or like you're talking about up in Arizona or New Mexico and even areas of Colorado, there's not a lot of light pollution. There's not a lot of anything out there. It's a lot of vast either deserts or mountains. And you'll be amazed at what can be. I was amazed at what is man-made satellites and things like that will actually kind of, in the middle of the night, you get up and step outside, and it'll kind of freak
I've
you
done
out
the
from
same
time to
thing.
time.
You've seen like an iridium satellite or a
Things
space
moving
station
that
or
you're not
something.
used
Yeah, and
to.
it looks like it's something that's extraterrestrial, but of course it's just something orbiting the planet. So I imagine that a lot of people have misidentifications with things just like that.
Sure, yeah, and I think what's more cool right now is, I think if you do some really good research, NASA is now working with constellations of satellites I'm not sure if they're classified or not, but I've done some random research, and they're working with satellites where the constellations are a little closer. So you'll see like 2 or 3 of these satellites working together in orbit, moving together, and people will see these things and they'll say, that can't be a satellite. I see 3 lights.
Oh, yeah.
But you really, or you'll see, on occasion, let's say a Soyuz spacecraft or the International Space Station kind of close to each other. So now you have 2 lights, etc. So those are very rare events. But I always tell people, spacecraft technology, NASA, you name it, the Chinese, the Russians, the Indians, and now the French, they all have stuff in orbit. And on rare occasions, a couple of these satellites will be very close to each other. And on some occasions, 3 of these satellites will be together. So if you see something in orbit, or if you see something really high altitude, and it's 2 or 3 kind of star-like objects, most people will say, well, that can't be a satellite. But it could be. It's just some new projects that they're working on.
I got you. Now, Antonio, your book out that you got out, Aerial Phenomena, what made you decide to really get, not only just to write a book, but to get this involved? I mean, you've been in the military, you've got a job with the military. I mean,
I've always been interested in UFOs. It's always interested in extraterrestrial life. I grew up as a sci-fi kid, you name it, and in the military, and after the military, when I started working as a special agent for the Department of Defense, that was the investigator side of me, actual investigative process, the A to Z investigations. It was in grad school while studying Planetary Science that it kind of came back to me, the UFO thing and extraterrestrial life, and I said to myself, whoa, let's see if I can put both my experiences / professions together, my profession as an investigator and my education in planetary science, and kind of converge them together into a kind of a Sherlock Holmes, perspective, investigating UFOs from that phenomena. But before that was one go, and what I really wanted to do was, well, let's see what's out there. A good author, researcher would do his research before writing a book. So for about a year and a half, I went around to, I don't know, dozens of different types of UFO meetings, conferences, local clubs, clubs all the way from here to California. And what I came away from most of those type of clubs and conferences was a lot of crap. You've got these UFO conferences that open its doors to everything you can imagine, that now ufology has been swamped with everything from, you name it, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, the paranormal, the really fringe science. And there's nothing wrong with that. I totally think that's all cool, but we need to have barriers between all these things. Paranormal conference, it's a paranormal conference. If it's a Bigfoot conference, it's a Bigfoot conference. If it's a UFO conference, then it's a UFO conference. If you want to put them all together, don't call it a UFO conference. Call it something else. A weird, World of Weird conference or something. But that's just one thing. And then actually talking to these people, doing interviews with a lot of these attendees, I came away with, no matter what you tell them, the word UFO is now synonymous with aliens. It's now synonymous with spacecraft. They totally ignore the first word, which is unidentified. And without any physical proof beyond a reasonable doubt, no matter what you tell them, a lot of these people will just center their attention on extraterrestrials and aliens. And I think that all this put together kind of gave ufology a bad word. And that's why it used to be a serious topic. We had the government investigating it years ago. But now nobody will touch it. The scientific community won't touch it. Academia won't touch it. Governments won't touch it, because it's seen now. And I like to use the word claptrap. and that's kind of the National Enquirer kind of syndrome, and that's what it is. And I saw that today at the Mysteries Conference. Is you had a couple of good speakers, really down to earth. They're not skeptics, they're not believers, kind of in the middle, but really serious about the subject. And then you had a couple of that, jumped at the shallow end of the pool too many times. So, and looking at some of the attendees today, they're your typical tinfoil hat syndrome, complete. No matter what I tell them, aliens exist for them. They don't care about fact. They don't care about lack of evidence. You tell them a story and they're all over it, and that's good for them. I'm not, that's one they believe in. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. That's
exactly right. That's exactly what I like so much about your team is you're trying to approach the subject from a scientific standpoint, not all this crazy stuff that's involved.
Be careful with the word science as well. We like to use the nuts and bolts approach, and that is, what is it that they physically saw? Can it be investigated? Can we, determine what it is? And if possible, on some occasions, we can try to experiment. We can try to build a hypothesis and use those things to try to determine what the person saw. And then slowly start using the scientific approach. Science is good, but you have to be careful with science because scientists, they're restrained within boundaries, and I like to use the word they work within academic stovepipes, and they're not comfortable with exploring outside those stovepipes, and that's why you don't see astronomers and planetary scientists and astrophysicists entertaining ufology because they just don't know how to approach it. So I think what I'm trying to do is, as a kind of a pseudoscientist, I have my master's in planetary science. I have a organization called the Center for Planetary Science. There's nothing that Antonio can do to change the current mainstream science community into accepting ufology. So now it's up to me to build the first group of scientists that want to study this phenomena. So I'm shaping the minds of people that are still in that stream of learning science and becoming scientists, but also to embrace ufology. So that and that's why I call it reviving ufology for the 21st century. So then 20, 30 years from now, that first generation of scientists, the ones that are still young right now, are now embracing ufology. I can't do much. I can't do really anything for, these scientists now at MIT and Harvard or whatever in their 60s and 70s. Their lifespans are not that far out. So there's nothing I can do for them to embrace ufology. So I want to shape the young minds today. And a good example of that is in a couple of weeks, I'll be going back to a local university and teach an astronomy class. So this astronomy class that I'll be teaching, I'm throwing a little ufology in there to shape those young students.
Nice.
To when they go out into their master's programs and their PhD programs, they understand what ufology is and it isn't. So they're not afraid to touch it.
Well, it makes it where it's not considered like such a bad word. Like there's something that you're really not supposed to look into.
And that's the goal of my book. My goal is threefold. Is what are UFO investigations and how do we actually do the investigations? I give 50 examples of recent cases that we did, and then I give kind of a small statistical analysis of those cases. And then the final chapter, which is the important chapter, is what's wrong with ufology today, and what is it that we, all of us, academia, scientists, the media, can do to clean it up so that it is, in the future. I'm not saying next year or 5 years from now. We're talking 10, 15, 20 years from now, that ufology is a serious subject again, and that's my goal. yeah, and you'll see me kind of sometimes tweeting, shaping the minds of the future. If you see my Twitter followers, I'm not following, your latest, physicists from Harvard and stuff like that. Those are the guys I'm not interested in right now. I'm not really following the Stan Friedmans. I'm not following, the Leslie Keans, all the current mainstream ufologists. I don't think I'm really following any of those guys, and I did that for a reason. If you look at my Twitter, if you could do some type of analysis, most of my followers are young kids, college students, a lot of them in their science classes, and those are the minds I'm trying to shape. Is, hey, it's totally cool that you're doing astronomy or physics or paranormal, whatever, but there's a phenomena of regarding ufology that's going out there that's happening right now, and it's people are seeing things, even if you just look at 1% of that. And those are the people I'm concentrating on. Like, there's nothing I can do about the Stanton Freemans and your MUFON and stuff like that. Those people, no matter what I tell them, are, they're going to embrace ufology the way they want to embrace it. But it's shaping the minds of the future, and that's my goal.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, because I was always, like we discussed, I'm a sci-fi kind of geek my whole life, but I've never really been drawn into the whole ufology thing. Like, I've never really found that flair for it. I like the crypto animals and things,
sure.
But I was never pulled in towards the whole idea of aliens and UFOs until I heard one of your interviews, and then I got pulled onto your website. Cool. And honestly, that's really kind of what changed.
Because he takes it serious.
Yeah,
that's
it's kind of what changed it to me. Is it wasn't a lot of like, I've seen this or all these, and like I said, I'm not discounting alien abductions or people that were abducted. Sure. I'm not discounting any of that. That kind of thing is what I couldn't get into. But when you put it online and showed a more scientific approach, showing all the photographs of this is what people are seeing most of the time, and these could explain some of the things. And when you really went to giving it, like you call it, the nuts and bolts, cut and dried, this is the answers to a lot of this, that's what really kind of got me more interested to it, where normally over the last several years of my life I just couldn't care less about really getting that much into it until within the last year of really keeping up with it now.
And I think you speak for a lot of the people that follow me. I've never thought I would have over 100,000 people on Twitter, but I think
you've got a huge cult now.
The sense I'm getting from a lot of these people are what you're saying, is that Antonio is taking a different approach to ufology. He's not your typical sci-fi music, that mystery, and, flying saucers on his website.
It is fun though, but
and I think the seriousness that my team and I like to take is why aerial phenomena is exploded to an organization now that just a year ago we would get only 1 or 2 UFO reports a month, and now we're getting over 40 or 50 reports a month, and we still triage those cases. That doesn't mean we do 50 investigations a month. Some of them are not worthy investigations. Some we can tell they're hoaxes. Some are incomplete reports. But so the message is out. I think there's a lot of groups out there that are trying to bring bad reputation. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry, but there are certain communities out there that kind of see aerial phenomena as a threat, and I don't care. I'm not about competing. I'm not here to make money. I'm not about that.
Yeah, that's not what it's about at all.
But I think they see that Antonio's approach is different, and I think that's why people have a lot of respect for the aerial phenomena.
Yeah, unlike Dr. Stephen Greer, who I heard you could pay some like $3,000 and he can go out in the woods and he can call UFOs at will just by concentrating.
Yeah, that's their agenda. I stay away from that stuff. I don't have anything against those people. Some people are fraud. Some people are doing this for monetary reasons. I don't do that.
You've got a job.
My team knows that most of the money I make from aerial phenomena, whatever, book sales and things like that all goes back to the team. The Skinwalker, the funds from Skinwalker were from a lot of it was from donations that we received. and that just goes to plane tickets and you know and stuff like that, conferences that we have. And I don't think I've ever met a rich ufologist. There's no money in ufology, so it's bad enough that some of these people are exploiting people for money. Oh, I can summon the UFOs.
Yeah.
Come here for $49.99.
Yeah.
No checks. And I've paid these people. I've shown up, and of course the UFOs are never there for some reason.
Surprisingly enough. But you just you know who the hoaxers are, who the credible people are, and etc. But I tend to stay away from that. I stay away from those conferences, and now I'm really concentrating on the really good conferences. Well, it's just really great to see I'm not much older than you are, but to have a younger, fresher look at it that's going to approach it in a way that, like you had said earlier, I think that we got away from over the past few years. That we kind of strayed from the true course of really seeking answers and kind of got off to where we were having fun with it, and that kind of hurt us a little. And
it's not their fault when we look at those people. In the last 30, 40, maybe even 50 years. I have a terminology I use. It's called a convergence of events. So what we've seen in the last, I would say from the Cold War and on, is a lot of misidentifications. You've got Hollywood and the B movies, the media, your local folklore and legends. When you put all that together, ufology now has become this. It's a cult. It's and the word cult is not a bad word. It's short for culture. It's almost a religion, and you've got all these little groups now, still talking about Roswell, still talking about the Betty and Barney Hill, abduction and things like that. But the phenomena itself, it really has not changed, other than maybe the types of UFOs reports, but. The culture really hasn't changed, other than that, we are now in the electronic age. People will sit in front of YouTube and sit there all day looking at UFO photo videos, and to them that's real, and they don't understand that a lot of stuff on the internet is just garbage. It's fake, it's hoaxes, it's photoshopped or video shopped, and that's what I'm trying to tell people is stay away from that. It's a lot of it's just crap.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's the biggest misconception is most people are always focused on extraterrestrials being from a distant planet millions of light years away or something crazy like that. And I think it's probably more than likely most of it is just top secret aircraft, breakaway society stuff.
I did a really good presentation today over at the Mysteries Conference called "Where Are the Aliens?" and it's really centered on the troubles and the problems with interstellar travel.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're extraterrestrial, the distances between alleged planets where these aliens are from, and I spoke about 4 today, and all the things about the laws of physics, whether it's time dilation, Twins paradox, amounts of energy needed for interstellar travel, all those things that prevent us from traveling these large distances would take generations, also prohibits the extraterrestrial from getting in there, these little clunky spacecrafts and traveling for light years, and then oh my god, they crashed here. I don't just buy it, but I am willing to entertain a different hypothesis. I think, and this is Antonio speaking, that if some of these are extraterrestrial, some of these spacecrafts, and we'll just take a handful of them, they're getting here in some different way. They're not getting here in a mechanical fashion. And then we can entertain all different types of hypotheses, whether it's wormholes, interdimensional, and somebody was recently bringing up a really cool hypothesis called the precognitive sentient phenomena, and that is that maybe these aren't extraterrestrials. And you hear this about this phenomena or this hypothesis about the Skinwalker Ranch a lot, that whatever it is, and I like to use the word it. It's precognitive, and it can manifest itself to whatever it wants. So if you want to see a UFO, it turns into a UFO. If you want to see an alien, it's an alien. If it's paranormal, it's paranormal. But from what I understood is that this precognitive hypothesis is that whatever this entity or thing is, it can manifest itself whatever it wants, whenever it wants. And that's kind of an hypothesis that a lot of people are looking at right now, including a good friend of mine, John Alexander, who worked with NIDS over at Skinwalker Ranch. So it's really cool to entertain the hypothesis rather than some clunky old little metal spacecraft and then it crashes here and then you never hear from it again.
I like that. I'm sitting here just kind of stunned. I'm sitting here rolling it through my mind. I really do like that whole idea.
I've been looking at that for about 3 weeks now, doing some heavy research on this, whatever it is. Whether it's something religious, whether it's something paranormal. The Native Americans are really heavy into this stuff, and what's cool about this is, we went up this year alone. We went up to the Dulce, New Mexico, where there's an alleged UFO base there. Mm-hmm. That's Native American. That's Apache. And then we went to Skinwalker this past weekend. That's the Ute. That's also Native American. So I'm seeing some patterns here where a lot of UFO / paranormal activity are concentrated in Native American land. And it's like a whole different subject now, but you can start looking at these patterns where either we have a lot of drunk Native Americans just saying crazy stories, or it's been
in their folklore for years, generations and generations of these things. Yeah, I guess you heard the thunder crash. We got a little aerial phenomenon going on here right now. We got a heck of a thunderstorm just rolled in. I got to ask of course, like we always laugh about the elephant in the room. The people that are maybe against you or get a little hurt about some of the things that the way you approach it and the new looks at it, I'm sure that they have thrown out the words that you are a disinformation guy for the government.
Yeah, I've gotten that a couple of times. Not that many. I think I've grown a lot of the people that I talk to now at conferences. They're the same people. So if it's a conference in New York or conference in Phoenix, you start to see the same people showing up at these conferences. And a lot of these guys, have been, for all intents and purposes, my friends now. And there aren't that many that really have that idea. They know who Antonio is. They know I have a real job, and that job is because it pays the rent, puts food on my table. And it's just something that I wanted to do. I'm patriotic. I love my country. I served my country. I was in both the Navy and the Army. And working at the Pentagon now I'm doing it for financial reasons and because I just love my job. And when Antonio puts his badge away and goes home, Antonio is a UFO hunter. He is no longer with the government. But people, when they start looking at resumes and they see government or Antonio has a top secret clearance, they
or just the Pentagon. What you just said, the Pentagon.
And they start going down these conspiracy things, and it's not. Half the room today are people that I know have clearances and stuff like that and work as contractors or whatever. It's not. People should just do their research and understand who Antonio is. But you're right, and I was talking today, when people say, I know people at the Pentagon study UFOs. I don't know anybody at the Pentagon that studies UFOs from official capacity. There are a lot of Antonios at the Pentagon that have a self-interest in UFOs, and I think that's what happens is when you see a private person like myself, and when I mean private, I mean I'm a civilian that just so happens to work at the Pentagon looking at UFOs. You're automatically labeled as, you name it. I've been called a Men in Black and stuff like that. But it's not. If you look at my UFO cases that I received, and you look at the investigative process, and you look at the results of the investigations we've done, you would probably come to the same conclusion. If I gave you my handbook and I said, and that's the reason I have an investigative process, if I have a certain case and I give it to 10 different investigators and they follow the process, they all should come with the same conclusion. And that's a nuts and bolts investigation. So, and then I've gotten cases where I don't know what the object was, so I closed them as unidentified. So for me to be a debunker or a misinformation agent, they're using the wrong word, and it's really discrediting the real disinformation agents out there.
So you actually have an SOP that you actually go by, you and your team.
Oh yeah, it's a must. It's the SOP. It's called the Aerial Phenomena Investigations Guide. It's about 30-40 pages long, and it's a guide, kind of what tools should be employed for investigations, how to conduct proper interviews, how to conduct proper research, how to do site visits, how to do photography, how to collect evidence, chain of custody, all that stuff. So I don't have a bunch of crazy people out there just doing whatever the hell they want. They have to follow the process. Some cases are easier than other. You don't have to go through the entire process. If it's just a light in the sky that happened 20 years ago, there's not much you can do with that. So the investigative process is really, you're wasting your time. But if it's a relatively recent case with a photo, video, multiple witnesses, then you have to, use the SOP.
Well, can you think you could give us a couple of maybe your favorite fascinating cases that really blew your hair back? We always ask everybody that we have on whenever they're talking about the things that really kind of got them going. Have you ever had a couple that you were like, man, that was pretty wild, I'm not sure what that was? Or have you ever actually seen something?
I have not actually seen something. We did see a strange light at Skinwalker, but one strange light is not enough for me to make analytical assessment. I need to see more. As far as cases, I think there are a couple. If we talk locally, there's one that happened recently in Gaithersburg, Maryland, and it was a partner at IBM. An executive at IBM was driving along through Gaithersburg, Maryland, which is about maybe 30 miles from Washington, D.C., and he saw your large silent black triangle. And so this guy got out of the car, saw this large black triangle that was about the size of a football field, completely silent, kind of hover over his car and to continue west towards Washington, D.C. So I went in and, he gave me a nice sketch. Really good case because it was very recent. I was able to interview the guy within 48 hours. So the memory was still fresh. Guy was highly credible. This guy was the millionaire. I went to his house, big, it's a mansion.
Wow.
No really reason for him to hoax me or look for attention.
Yeah, he's not trying to make money off the deal.
And he was like Antonio. I'm not saying it was extraterrestrial or man-made, but what I saw is something that would change his life forever. Something that huge and silent, looked mechanical, and he's an engineer, and he's never seen. He thought he could never imagine something like that, and so that was a really good case. And then I'm wondering, what is this huge thing doing? It's very close to Camp David. The President's Retreat, heading towards Washington D.C. And you would think something that huge. There's only a couple alternatives. It's ours, and it has permission to be in the restricted airspace. It's not ours, and somehow it's not being detected, because something like that should be detected, and you would see, jets will be scrambling out of Langley Air Base,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
But he said he didn't see any. He just saw it go quietly for about 10 minutes towards the west. They didn't see anything, any aircraft trying to intersect any of that, and then just it went off into the horizon. So that was a really good case that we closed as high strangeness, high credibility, but closed as unidentified. Really cool case. And I think, other cases where I thought were really cool, but that we were able to identify, was a recent case we had this year in San Agustin, New Mexico, and this case goes back to almost Roswell. And if you look at Roswell, allegedly 3 UFOs crashed in the New Mexico desert about the same time. So the witness contacted me this spring and sent me a box full of a bunch of metal that was allegedly from a UFO. And I did the research, and there was just so many stories that a UFO crashed in this this part of the desert, and we had some money. We had some money saved from book sales and stuff like that. So we decided to go out there, and we did research for about 3 months before we went out there, and I was kind of leaning towards that it was an actual World War II aircraft that crashed out there.
Oh, really?
During training. So I contacted the U.S. Archives, Defense Technical Information Center, which has like technical manuals of aircraft. I contacted the Air Force Accident Review Board. So I got a lot of good information that led me to believe that this guy found pieces of an aircraft. And so we went out there. He showed us the spot where he found the metal, and one of the pieces of the metal had a really strange symbol, kind of like a little triangle with a circle, and that really intrigued me. So I sent that piece to an aircraft archaeologist, and he says he doesn't know what the symbol is, but he knows that piece is actually from an aircraft. It's a beam from an aircraft. So we were like getting close to finding the answer. And so I went back to the manufacturer of the aircraft, which was the T6. We were leaning towards the T6. And we got the manual about a month later from the manufacturer, who no longer exists. And we found the symbol.
Really?
So,
oh, wow.
So we So after all the investigations were done, and we found the obituary, too, of the pilot that was killed. And the Air Force crash report that told us the exact GPS grid where the UFO also crashed. So we put all that together. We had the physical evidence, we had the material evidence from the Air Force, and we concluded that what they found was that it was an T6 aircraft that crashed there during a training event. And I think most of the UFO community were really stunned that this legend for about 60, 70 years now of a UFO, it was called the crash at San Agustin. Nobody really approached it the way we did. And I think the community now is satisfied that Antonio and his team finally put this story to rest. Wow. That it was a World War II aircraft that crashed there. And what happened was, I called this how this came. What happened was, 50 years of UFO legends in the area, people seeing some type of military activity there, which is really the recovery of the aircraft, blockades because you can't come to the crash site, all that put together, and 50 years, stories changed. That became a legend that a UFO crashed there.
Right. I'm assuming that probably anything that crashes around Roswell, people automatically assume is an extraterrestrial.
Yeah. So we were really satisfied with that case, and I thought that was a really cool case where the entire investigative process, the SOP, came together. We put a lot of hard work. We put 2,000 man hours of into this investigation, and I think we closed the books on that case.
That's got to be an extremely satisfying thing for you and the whole team.
Sure, it is, and there's a couple of people out there. Oh no, it's still a UFO. You were at the wrong spot. Yeah. Well, it could be, but the spot that we were taking and the spot where the Air Force says a plane crashed there was the same. And the pieces that were provided to us were from an aircraft. Now, the legend might still go on. Maybe a UFO did crash in somewhere else relatively close to that, but at least the pieces that we were given and the investigation we conducted, it was an aircraft.
That's I think, the ideal thing that everybody needs to think about.
And that's not debunking. That's an investigation.
It's just telling
the
truth.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's finding the answer. That seems like what you, and that's the greatest thing about it. That seems, what's so great about you and your team is that seems to be like really what it's striving for, and it really seems to be catching on. It seems to be like more and more people are going that way. Oh, that's great.
Cam, why don't you give the people Antonio's website?
Oh, yeah. Or hell, let Antonio, he's the man of the hour. Antonio, tell everybody where they can find you, what you're going to be doing.
Well, the website is aerial-phenomena.org, aerial-phenomena.org. I think the best way to kind of follow me is Twitter, at Antonio Paris, because that's kind of how I communicate. I have the Facebook website too, called Aerial Phenomena. But the website itself, aerial-phenomena.org, is active. It's not a static website, so it's updated constantly with new cases. Any events that I'm going to, whether it's a book signing or a conference, if I'm going to be on an interview or a podcast, I think that's the best way. More importantly, the website is not for me; it's for you guys. It's a really good website to do research, to do, if you want to do photo analysis. There's also a little page called Resources. And the resources page just gives you nice little links to all the types of websites that we use for investigations. So it's a really good training environment for people who want to study UFOs.
Now, where can everybody find your book? Can they order it on there, or do they go through Amazon? Or
They
got
can
Kindle
go through
versions?
there, or they can go through Amazon. If you can just Google Antonio Paris, it's like the top 3. It always comes up, Amazon or stuff like that. But just go to Amazon and type in Antonio Paris or Aerial Phenomena. You can get it that way. Some people don't like Amazon and they use PayPal instead. So if you go to my website, there's a link there to the book too that just goes through PayPal. So it's pretty cool.
Have you got anything interesting coming up? You got a book signings or any more events?
Next week I'll be in Pittsburgh. They have the annual MUFON conference. I will not be speaking, but I was invited to sign books, and nice. I will. So it's only about 3 hours away. I'll be there all day, and I've also was invited to a night watch. It's one of those groups where they can summon UFOs. So I haven't made a decision on that yet. I need to see who's going to show up for that.
I'm going to be watching Twitter and tweeting back. I want to know how this turns out.
And I told the person, hey, if it's just one or two legitimate investigators, that's cool. Maybe I'll do it. But if it's a gaggle of bunch of MUFON people out there,
a busload,
not that I have anything against MUFON, but if it's just a busload, it's a gaggle, it's gonna be loud, and a lot of inexperienced people out there, I'm not for that.
Yeah, completely understand.
Well, man, it has been really neat chatting with you tonight, Antonio. Thank you for coming on.
We appreciate it so much.
Hey guys, I just want to thank you guys. What you guys are doing is also important. Is interviewing people like myself and putting the message out there. That's totally cool, and that's why I always like to use the word. This is a community. It's about working together. It's not about competing. There's a lot of paranormal groups, UFO groups out there that want to do their own thing. I think they should do the opposite and work with everybody as a whole to look at this phenomena from a bigger picture.
Well, we're here. If you ever want to come on and promote or just have anything you need to say or get out there, you just hit us up. We're ready whenever you are. We're sitting here and waiting. We love visiting with everybody.
Yeah, it's been really neat. And we appreciate what you do, approaching this subject matter in a scientific manner. That's what I enjoy the most about what you're doing and your team. Like we were talking earlier, that's why I've always not been into UFOs too much, is because there's too much hokey stuff and everything is the same old green men from another planet, and I like the way you're approaching it. And the story you told us where you solved the case of the missing, of the crash in New Mexico, I mean, that's even better. It's proof positive that you're reaching your goals and you're settling these cases.
No one can take me where I'm trying to go.
All right. Now that that's over with and you had your minds blown, I hope everybody enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was great, man.
Oh, man.
He's a really interesting character. You know, he's really smart. I mean, I think he still has a government job. Like,
He does. He works at the Pentagon.
is he active at
He
the
actively works at the Pentagon.
Yeah.
He shows up in his suit and tie with one of them badass.
He's an Iraqi war veteran. He's got a Bronze
They gotta
Star.
scan your eye, to get your eye scanned to get into his office, and you gotta have a thumbprint and all. Yeah, and he walks through like that thing on the original Total Recall where you walk through it and it just shows like these skeletons and all that. It was like
I don't even think I remember the
TSI.
original Total Recall was the girl with 3 tits.
That's all you remember
From the first one, that was a long time ago.
You remember when he's walking through it and it shows like people are walking their dogs and like scans the side of them and it looks like a. You don't remember that? Man, you suck. Anyway,
I think you made that up.
No. I'm sure that's what Antonio has to go through. I'm sure.
I
he has
picture
to go
something
through
like
that.
Mission Impossible, the first one, when they have all that security.
That's his office. That's where the one that Tom Cruise come down in. That's Antonio's office. That's straight up his office. The Skinwalker Ranch still to this day gets me going.
Yeah, because of all the crazy stuff. I mean, I've heard people seeing Sasquatch. I've heard people seeing ghosts. I've heard people seeing dogmen. Heard people seeing chupacabra. I mean, just anything you can think of, people see. And UFOs, of course. I don't really know what's going on. I mean, what's the guy's name that owns it? Bigelow? I mean, as far as I know, it was a huge area.
It's
ranch.
sold now. He sold it to somebody else.
Right, and they just did like top secret research there. But I mean, there's got to be something going on with all the security.
They
like
still
you
have it in
mentioned.
lockdown.
Yeah.
I mean, and he even talked to us,
About
like
the
off
black
air.
water, like security. That's
Yeah, he
running
talked
it.
to
I
us
mean,
off
sorry.
air because he was talking about the security force in it that is a lot like what he had seen when he was active in the military. And he was like, wow. I mean, there's something. You don't
There's
do all
something to
that
it.
just for grins. I mean, they go through that kind of trouble.
Yeah. And like we had mentioned before, I mean, about the scientific method that he uses, I like the fact that they were able to debunk that one story.
Yeah, to find the truth behind it.
And for all this time, people have been saying, oh, it was a crashed UFO.
You're like, nope.
And he found the actual
It's a
plane.
plane.
Everything, yeah.
The man that actually passed away in the plane crash, the actual plane debris.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's over 2,000 man hours. That's a lot of work
Yeah.
put into it. I mean, that's not a hobby. That's a passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I
a
mean, that's a
passion.
lot of work. But, that just legitimizes what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's not one of those crazy that wants everything to be extraterrestrial. Like Bobo off of Finding Bigfoot. I mean, everything is a Bigfoot.
What are you talking about? Everything is a Bigfoot.
A twig snaps. And he's like, oh, yeah. Oh, there's a tree knock. Yeah. I'm like, well, you could be just another guy out tree knocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not hating on Bobo, though, because he's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. I'd love to interview him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they got some really cool stories that they can't put on Animal Planet.
That's what I'd like to talk to him about, the stuff that they haven't been able to release.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
just like when we had Gary on, I mean,
Yeah.
there's tons of stories that people just don't want talked about. They
can't
report them,
yeah.
but then they don't want it talked about because they fear scrutiny.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
just-
it was really neat.
I like the fact that Antonio has the SOPs that he goes by. I mean, he has every bit of procedure down. I like the fact that it's approached that scientific. That
I'm with you.
That he actually has a list, and he was even talking to us about the interviews. Whenever they do interviews, I mean, they have a certain way that they do the interview too, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes for more consistency.
People, you need to go to his website. It's www.ariel, what is it?
Phenomenon.net.
And I'll put, or .org, I'm sorry.
.org, yeah.
And I'll put show notes and stuff, and I'll have all the links and
to
all
it,
that stuff.
yeah.
But, and he's got a new book.
Yep, he's got a new book out.
So you
Also,
guys
you
need
can
to go to
follow. You need to
Amazon.
follow him on Twitter.
Yeah.
Make sure you follow Antonio on Twitter. I mean, it's got links on his website that you can find, but his book's called Aerial Phenomenon.
That's right. Yeah, you can go on Amazon and everything and get it.
So, yeah, and I think he's actually got a Kindle version too, so everybody on Kindle can download
Yeah, it's
it.
about $9.
Yeah.
And it's not a real long book, but it's probably got some really cool stories.
Yeah, I mean, I
haven't
I'm
had a
gonna
chance to read it yet, but I'm going
going to
to,
read it.
yeah.
I just haven't had a chance. All the stuff we've got to read. That was the part I wasn't prepared for the podcast. Was
That's
the
right.
books. That's what I was like. Man, I've got a lot.
I mean,
to
I've always
read.
been a reader. I've always read books, pretty common. But man, the amount of reading I've done since we started this podcast has increased tenfold.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to read a book about every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's what I was on average. It was every 2 weeks I'd read a book.
Yeah, now I'm knocking out like at least 1 or 2 a week. I have to.
Yeah.
And I used to read the whole book, and now when I just start running out of time, I have to, it's not fair to say, but I have to do the Cliff Notes sometimes. I have to kind of skim through it
Until I get time to go back or something.
till
I try
have
to
time.
read. And what I end up messing up doing is between the research for the show and then reading the books. Man, it takes up a lot of time. You got to do it because I don't feel like it's right to not read their book, to not support them.
I agree.
If they've come on the show, then
If you're going to interview somebody,
Yeah.
you need to know what the heck.
Well, and if I haven't had time to read the book, I'll do
the
the research. But then I go back and read the book. It's my way of holding the door open for them. Thank you. I'm going to read your book.
Yeah, speaking of interviews,
we got some good ones.
we got some good ones coming
Yeah.
up. Yeah, before the year.
We've got
So,
the next interview we're going to have, folks. It's just going to be us. The next podcast coming. So
Yep, we're gonna do
don't
some
hate
more
on us.
ancient
We just want to
history.
do some more on ancient history. Yeah, we're going to have an interview coming up after that with Mr. Nick Redfern.
Oh man, he's one of my favorite authors.
Yeah, Nick's going to come on.
I like him so much because he's an expert on everything.
all over the place.
He's
Yeah.
not just a UFO guy, or he's not just a crypto guy. He's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Everything you can think of.
Nick is very eclectic in his writings, and I think that's what I admire the most about him. Is he has knowledge on everything. On everything.
And he's got a new book out. What's the new one called?
Is it for nobody's eyes only?
For nobody's eyes or something
Yeah,
like
and it's
that.
about the missing confidential papers and things that he couldn't get that they used to have. Now they all of a sudden they don't have.
Mysteriously,
Yeah.
those are gone.
Yeah.
And then who's coming up after that?
Mr. Lyle Blackburn.
That's right, Lyle Blackburn. His
Lyle's
new book.
got a new book.
Yep.
about the Lizard Man.
Lizard Man or Lizard Men.
Yes.
We'll have to find out. But yeah.
And then, of course, he's the man that wrote The Beast of Boggy Creek.
Yep. Yeah, the Falk monster.
Yep. And I think he's actually going to be on Finding Bigfoot
I
coming
saw
up.
him on a commercial for Finding Bigfoot just the other night. They were previewing the new season.
Okay.
The new season comes out tonight. In fact, it's probably being recorded right now.
Really? It come out tonight.
It could be.
Right on, right on.
I'm not sure exactly what day it comes out, but I've been seeing commercials a lot for the upcoming season, so I know it's within the next day or so. It might be tonight. My DVR has so many things being recorded, sometimes the thing starts smoking. Most of the time, my stuff gets bumped from my wife's show.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Between the wife and the kids, yeah, that's why you read books.
Yeah.
Because they can't bump your book.
I can only watch Thomas the Train, so many times before my brain starts melting.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lyle Blackburn, he's going to be on. And then who else we got?
We actually were contacted by a fellow that was just on Grammarica's show, and he wants to come on our show, and his name's Robert W. Sullivan, and he is the Freemason, wrote the Ark of Enoch, and all that, the new book, and it talks about a bunch of Freemasonry secrets and things like that. So
That's going to be pretty cool. I don't really know a lot about
my
Freemasons.
grandfather was
I know.
a Mason, was big into the Masons.
Yeah.
And actually got his 33rd degree. And I mean, yeah, he was big. I mean, I don't know a lot about it, but that was the one thing. He had a Masonic funeral. I mean, it was neat to see a lot of the stuff but he'd always been
Anybody
involved
from
in
the
the Masons.
Illuminati there?
Man, maybe he was. Maybe he was. He was a very happy fellow, so maybe he was laughing all the way to the grave. I don't know, but I wished I could have taken more time as a young man to get to know more about that side of him from the Masons. But we had a great time watching baseball. So
And then we got Paul Nation coming
Paul
up.
Nation's going to come on with us. Yep.
The Ropin.
Yep. We're still going to talk to him about that.
And then who is the couple?
Stan and Lisa Romanek, what they've just released. In fact, I think it was last night they released his abduction movie in Florida.
Oh,
at
really?
the film festival, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to have
We're
them
going to
on
have
soon.
he's going to come on and discuss things with us too. So yeah, we've got some pretty interesting stories in our interviews coming up.
Yes. And people, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Be sure to go to our website, expandedperspectives.com. Be sure to follow me and Cam and the show on Twitter. What is it? @ExpandedP is the show. And then Kyle Filson, EXP, and then at Cam Hale, EXP. That's our private ones. You can follow us on there.
You can find us on Facebook.
You can find us on Facebook. You can rate and review the show on iTunes. Please subscribe. Please tell your friends. We're trying to grow this thing. Also, email us.
Yeah, please.
expandedperspectives@yahoo.com with whatever. If you have some cool stories of your own, if there's some subjects that you think that you would like to hear us talk about, if you've stumbled upon some news and maybe bring it to our attention. I mean, share those things. Email them to us. I mean,
Yeah.
your friend Lydia
Ruiz that I work with, she sent me some good information, and basically it's over a book that I've already got.
Yep, Grey Wolf. I've
Grey
already read
Wolf
it too.
by Gerard
But I mean,
Williams.
I appreciate the
Oh, yeah.
heads up. I mean, anything you can find, send it to the show. We love to hear from people. I mean, I think it's so neat when all of a
She
sudden
keeps me on my toes at work. As
I
far
get
as
an
all the
email and it's
information.
some dude from Ireland, and I'm like,
Yes.
man, that is wild.
Yeah.
So keep it, and we're going to try to keep doing it. We've been trying to make the audio better, so hopefully that's working out.
We got some more equipment coming, matter of fact.
Yep, we got some more
We
equipment
got
to
a
make
few
it
more,
sound better.
few more things coming, so yeah, it's getting better.
Yeah.
We're taking it slow and getting it all put together, but we plan on being here for several years to come.
Right, and also I think we're going to try to have like a roundtable discussion before the end of the year. We're trying
Yes.
to we're trying to put it together. Not
That's gonna
100%
take a little
sure-
work, but
not
yeah.
100% sure it's going to come out for sure. But we think towards the end of the year we're going to try to
Kind
have
of like it's folks. Not to
End of
cut
the
you
year.
off, Kyle. It's going to be kind of like a Christmas gift, I would say, from us to you. We're going to try to do a 2 to 2.5 hour show, maybe with Kyle and I, and a couple of your other favorite interviews and some podcasters that everyone listens to. Also, I'm not going to say any names just yet, but we've got one for sure. We're working on getting a few others, but it will be kind of covering all the topics that have been
a roundtable
all
discussion
of 2013.
of our like favorite 5 stories over
of
the
each
last
one
year.
of us, whatever we all
Yeah,
like,
we'll
and just throw
kinda
it around.
discuss. I
So
think it'd be kinda neat,
yeah, so I mean, you'll know who they are whenever we bring them on and all that. But that's what whenever we get it all nailed down for sure, we'll let everybody know. But yeah, that's what we're looking at to do for our final show of the 2013 year before we step over into it.
One more thing before we get off. If people are wondering and they're a little worried that maybe we're going to miss some of the shows around the holidays, when everybody's off work, we're going to still put out shows even though it's the holidays. I'm talking about Thanksgiving and
Yep.
when Christmas gets
Yep.
here. We're going to still be putting out shows. So I know a lot of podcasts take off around the holidays.
And that used to bother me because if we have to work,
you get
you're
so
like,
used to
"Man."
listening to them. You're like, man,
Yeah.
now there hasn't been one for 2 weeks. What's going on? I hate that.
So we're not doing that. It's
No.
going to come out
every Monday. We'll have a new podcast every Monday. we
Every
promise.
Monday it'll come out. So we'll unless there's something insane happens from now to the end of time, we're going to try to make sure every Monday you have it. Of course, we say every Monday. Could be late Sunday night, but early Monday morning. But yeah,
We'll get them out there. I mean,
we'll get
unless
'em
there's
out
just
there.
something terrible happens.
Yeah.
But we'll get them out there.
Exactly.
All right, man. So I hope everybody enjoyed the interview with Antonio. Remember, go to aerial-phenomenon.org and go on Amazon, buy his book.
Check it out.
And I hope you enjoy. Is there anything else, Cam?
No, man, I'm good to go.
All right, y'all have a really good week, and we'll talk to you next
Everybody
time.
stay safe.
All right, thanks.